Call the school board meeting of Tuesday, February 2nd to order. Just a reminder to please silence your cell phones, as I am doing, because I'm the one who usually forgets. We will begin with an invocation by Pastor Jeff Lehman of the First Baptist Church of Kissimmee, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance from the Girl Scouts, Troop 841, followed by the national anthem of Alex Lowe, who is also an Eagle Scout, and with our mission statement being read by Dr. Sonia Esposito. So, Pastor Lehman.
All right, let's pray together. Almighty God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for your beautiful creation. And God, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for elected officials. And Lord, we just pray over them and over these proceedings tonight, God, that you would bring wisdom and guidance. Lord, we thank you for our schools and families in this county. We pray for our administrators and teachers and those that just faithfully invest into the lives of our children and of our students into the future. And God, I just pray your blessings and protection over them. And God, may you be glorified in this time. And Lord, we just thank you, and we pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, girls. Great job. Now we have Alex Lowe from Celebration High School.
The mission of the Osceola School District is education which inspires all to their highest potential.
Dalia.
My name is Dalia Medina. I'm here to provide translation services. Mi nombre es Dalia Medina. Estoy aquí para proveer servicio de traducción. Gracias.
Thank you very much. And Pastor Lehman, thank you very much. I appreciate your service. A lot of things are kind of precious, and y'all didn't get the advantage of hearing the Girl Scouts lead the national anthem, but it was very precious. They did a great job. So, and Alex Lowe, great job. Appreciate it. With that, we will move on to our comments from our board members. And Superintendent, would you like to go first tonight?
Sure, I will. That's unusual. I can't believe I'm first this time.
Sorry.
Yes. I was at the All-County Middle and High School Concert Band recently, and the young man that was just up here is a perfect example of the kind of students that we have in our district that do just an absolutely amazing job, whether individually or as group members. And then board, I had the privilege of interviewing the top 10 finalists for Teacher of the Year and, excuse me, School-Related Employee of the Year with committees. And I will tell you that we have remarkable representatives. We have great teachers, great support staff, but when you have the opportunity of speaking with 10 teachers, 10 school-related employees, they really bring you back to what this is all about, which is the education of our children and how much they love working here and how much they want to remain as part of this district. Just truly an honor, and thank you for letting me share that.
Would you like to remind people on the state of education?
That is tomorrow, the State of Education. I'm looking forward to seeing many people. It begins at 7:30 breakfast time, and then 8 o'clock promptly, and we're sticklers to setting times. We begin at 8 and we will end at 9. I promise I will get you back to work on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick comment. I would just say, Ms. Beach, it's good to see you and some Osceola students. We're glad that you're here with us tonight. And as usual, go Cowboys. So that's all for me this evening, sir.
Just as Superintendent Luciano did, I wanted to congratulate our top 10 finalists. One of them happens to be one of my cousins as well, so I just can't run, but I can't hide. But no, congratulations to those folks. I had the opportunity to go to Tallahassee a couple weeks ago with our Osceola legislative effort. Hopefully, we'll get there on our high growth funding formula. If you guys want something to do in your spare time, reach out to your elected officials and support the high growth capital funding for Osceola County. We'd certainly appreciate that. We'll be going to Tallahassee again tomorrow. I know with Mr. Weissire and Chairman Thacker for the FSBA conference, excited about that. We'll be pushing the high growth funding formula for Osceola County. Briefly, Harmony Community School hosted a father-daughter dance. I wanted to thank those folks. Mr. Allen was there. It's a wonderful opportunity. The PTO puts that on out there, and the staff. I want to thank them because I've got 2 little girls, and they're growing up really fast. And that was the last time. My oldest daughter's in 5th grade, so that's probably the last time she'll want to dance with her father. So I do wanted to say that I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. She's one last thing. I wanted to thank the staff at, especially Mrs. Larson and Principal Diericks at St. Cloud Elementary for inviting me out to their Celebrate Literacy Week function. The kids got to slime everybody because they got so many AR points. I know Miss Otterson was there, a lot of folks from the district and around the community. They had a great turnout and got to read Pete the Cat to some kindergartners, and they really appreciated it, and I appreciated them inviting me. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Very nice to see everyone here this evening. Thank you for coming. I hope that this is a informative and fun school board meeting for everyone.
Mr. Wheeler.
First, I want to recognize Harmony High School for adding new varsity sport for adding boys volleyball. I think it's great that we're expanding opportunities for kids because kids get motivated to go to school for a variety of different reasons. I want to recognize also, even though he left, Alex Lowe did the national anthem for us. He's from Celebration High School, but Alex has gone out with me to Good Samaritan Village to play for people out of Good Samaritan Village just because they wanted to hear a kid play a sax, and he was like, yeah, okay. Granted, his parents pushed him a little bit when I made the offer, but he did a great job, and he's a great kid. As Chairman Thacker said, he's an Eagle Scout, and I've had the opportunity to watch him grow up. Great young man. I want to recognize today, I attended the Celebration Area Council from the Kissimmee Osceola Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and Michael Ballone, principal at Celebration K-8, attended with me. He did a presentation. He did a great job. He's a great young leader. We're excited to have him, and again, he did a super job at the chamber today. And Chris Lavoie, the athletic director from Celebration High School, attended with me also. He did a real good job representing Celebration High School, talking about athletics. They just made an offer to a football coach. We're very excited about that after having won 7 games this past year. And then Chris went with me. I did a little on-the-job training for him, going door-to-door in downtown Celebration, soliciting Booster Club participation sponsorship from the local downtown vendors. So I want to that's all the recognition I've got. Okay. And we met Mr. Weissire, who's decided he wants a Booster Club level, right? Isn't that correct, sir?
$1,000 level, he said.
Great. Mr. Weissire and I went to a Valencia College manufacturing center kickoff today, which is for those of you really old, it's the old inspection station, which was then the Council on Aging, which is now an unbelievable manufacturing center. And there must have been a couple hundred people there. At least I was expecting a ribbon cutting of 20, 50 people, about normal. Very amazing stuff they're doing. Siemens made a $63 million software contribution to Valencia on all their software that will help integrate and tie that whole facility together. The whole purpose of that facility is to be a feeder project for our farm project and our clean manufacturing that we're trying to promote and move in this county, and to provide a workforce for that. So it was very well attended, a lot of news coverage there, very impressive. So ties right into what we're feeding to and what we're working towards. So
I didn't think, did they say how many students they're gonna have their first semester?
the first semester was at 60. They said, and I can't remember, Jay, if it was 30 or 60.
Great. No, that's
I'm
great.
sorry. They did tell me, and I can't remember. Just to add on to what Mr. Booth said, I also attended the reading at St. Cloud Elementary School. And if any of you ever get asked to do that, you should do it. It's a great experience. I will tell you, however, you should bring your own book. Because I showed up without my own book, and they promptly gave me one that was half in Spanish. So it was a lot of fun, and it was great fun to be in a class of third graders that all spoke Spanish and have to read those words. It was very embarrassing, but it was a lot of fun. So that's right. So it was good. Two more quick reminders. Footsteps to Brilliance kickoff is this Friday, the 5th.
Sorry, that was an error. It's been moved to the 24th of February.
Never mind. It's the 24th of February. Still at Ross Jeffries?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's still at 10:30?
Yes.
Okay. And there's an academic fair this Saturday, February 6th, 9 to 11, at Celebration K8, and that is still correct. Okay, with that, we will, sure.
Just because we're talking about kickoffs, I want to remind everybody that the Osceola County Fair kicks off next week. So just a reminder. Thank you.
No problem. With that, we are going to move to our presentation portion of the agenda. And you going first with the National OSHA unit? Dr. X? Go ahead, you can go. No, we're all right. Go ahead.
Tonight, school board, superintendent, and community members, I'm truly excited to actually report out on the progress that we've made with one of our initiatives within the strategic plan. One of the areas that we wanted to increase was the opportunity for our students with disabilities to participate in extracurricular activities. Quite often we're talking about high schools, and we're talking about, as one of the board members shared out, different extracurricular activities that we have throughout our community. One of the things that I often refer to at the high school is ensuring that all high school students have the opportunity to engage in a full high school experience. And tonight, this really exemplifies that opportunity. And this really is a work of a community effort. I would like to ask Ryan Adams, the Director of Athletics for our school district, and Ms. Lisa Overton to come up, the Coordinator for ESE Services, and give us an update on the progress that we've made in this area, and also be able to recognize some people that have really come through, and I think you'll really enjoy what you're fixing to see.
So good evening. So earlier in the school year, I presented to you the partnership that we had with Special Olympics to bring their school programs into our schools for our students with intellectual disabilities. So the first semester, we started with their Project Unify, and we did that at our high schools. And we are now in the process of bringing our school-based program into our middle schools. So we've got that started, rosters, and ready to go. But tonight, we're here to give you an update and to let you know how well the Project Unify has gone at our high schools. So we had 6 high schools that participated in Project Unify. So they put together a basketball team that was comprised of 50% of our athletes with disabilities and 50% of their non-disabled partners. And they played amongst themselves, and they also played amongst other districts up in Tavares. They did really, really well. And we had 4 of the teams move on to UCF for the regionals. And we went to the regionals, we went to all of those, and they played really, really hard, and we had 3 of them that are now going to the finals. So I want to put that into a little bit of perspective for you. there were 34 Project Unified basketball teams across the state. 8 of those teams made it to the finals. Of those 8, Osceola County had 3. I think that's a testament. It's really a testament to the hard work that the teams have done, the athletes, their partners, and the coaches. So before I move on to Ryan, who's going to introduce you to all of the teams that are out here, I really wanted to recognize the partnership we have with Special Olympics and Bancoli at a banjo. And come on up here since you're going to be presenting too. So Bancoli is the director of Special Olympics for Osceola. And along with Ben Rubel, who's also the Project Unified liaison, who worked tirelessly with the teams, really they put it together in such a short period of time to get all the games in. So Ryan, I'll let you introduce the teams.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, allowing us to present these students here. All right, so our 6 schools, we have from Celebration High School, Chris Lavoie is their head coach. He couldn't be here tonight, but we do have Kelly George from Celebration. Kelly, if you can come up with your team, please. Yep.
Rachel.
We're going to introduce all the players and the partners here in just a minute. Yep, that's perfect. Thank you. From Gateway High School, Coach Torres, I don't believe he's here. Is he here? Coach Torres? From Harmony High School, Coach Scott Malega. And his team. Yep, players, if you want to come down, please. We have from Liberty High School, Coach Dave LaRoche. Coach, you want to have your players come down? You have one of your players here too. She showed up a little late. There she is. We have from Poinciana High School, Coach Wayne Ricks. And finally, we have from St. Cloud High School, Coach John Stump. At this time, if we could, we'll start with Celebration. Coach, could you please introduce your players and partners that you have with you tonight?
Sure. This is one of our partners. This is Quinn Boner. And this is, he's a senior. This is Rachel Cudia. And this is Brandon Rosario. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank the board and everyone for your support. Special Olympics has been very near and dear to my heart. I have a sister who was an athlete, and I'm actually a unified partner myself and competed with Rachel in a unified swimming relay a couple years ago. So I encourage all of you to get involved. It's a wonderful organization.
Coach Torres, you don't have any players here today, but we certainly appreciate your willingness to coach the team and be a part of this. Thank you very much. Harmony?
Scott Marlega, thank you very much for having us here tonight. To my left here, we have Simone Harris. She is a junior. Next to her, we have Corey Shooter-Jackson. He is a senior. Next to him, we have Reese Fritz, also a senior. And next to Reese, we have Natasha Fritz, who is also a senior.
From Liberty, Coach LaRoche, if you could please introduce your player.
Good evening. I'm Dave LaRoche. This is our partner, Natalie Romero, and I want to thank the board and Ms. Overton for allowing us the opportunity to participate in the program. Also, I want to thank Devon Kennedy and Keon Clark. He's our coach. He's in class right now, but he was responsible for recruiting a lot of our partners and athletes. And I want to thank our principal, Ms. Evalith Almeida Garcia, and Mr. Polter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have all my partners here. This is Julian Pierre, sophomore. Charles Pierce, he's a sophomore. Andy Tejada, a junior. And Luis Santiago.
Thank you, guys. So, if you could introduce your players.
Hi, my pleasure. First of all, again, to the board, thank you for allowing us to do this. Of course, Mr. Adams. And before I introduce the players, I also like to recognize Nate Fancher, our principal. Without the administration support, this wouldn't have happened either, so we do appreciate them and, of course, all of you. That said, I'd like to introduce Miguel Martinez. He is one of our athletes. CJ Dennis, one of our athletes as well. And one of our partners, Cameron Lang.
Just a few more seconds of your time. Van Coley did want to make one final announcement that we did want to share with everyone here.
Again, my name is Bankole. At the banjo, it did take a long time for me to learn how to pronounce that. Just with this program, it takes exceptional leadership to really implement it, so I wanted to thank Dr. Eggs, Ms. Overton, Mr. Adams, Ms. Linda Schroeder-King, and also all the administration and all these high schools, really exceptional. And personally wanted to thank Ms. Maribel Suarez, Ms. Georgette Paulzin, and Mr. Larry Meadows at Gateway. Without further ado, just wanted to congratulate the 3 teams from Osceola County that will be representing us at the FHSAA President Unified Basketball Finals: Harmony High School, St. Cloud High School, and Point Siena High School.
Hey guys, we just want to take a picture so we can slide everyone up, please, and let's go. You guys in the front, take a group shot.
Squeeze that, and I'm sure you can do it that way. Snap a picture
You know what?
Act like we like each other. I know.
Yes. Miguel, come on over here.
Oh, Daryl. No, just,
Ladies and gentlemen, your Special Olympics. Look forward to watching you guys again.
You get a shot of the back of my head? Well, it was shining so bright. Just like my husband's. Quite the photographer.
Board, again, I really want to thank you for the opportunity for bringing those students, coaches, and schools forward. I think it really exemplifies how much our staff really cares about our students and want to ensure that they have that full life experience when they're at the high schools. Next presentation is going to be dealing with another issue, another opportunity within our strategic plan. One of the areas in it was to continue to grow and ensure that our district is a STEM sturdy district. 3 years ago, we were introduced to the idea of bringing gaming into our schools. As you know, that we've added this into some of our comprehensive high schools. Gaming is just not the ability to be able to create games within the computer environment, but it really teaches and draws kids into programming and simulation. Tonight, I've asked Ms. Belinda Pinkston, Executive Director for CTE, that STEM falls under, to come up and share with us some of the progress that we've made in that area, and again, exemplify some of our work that our students have done.
Thank you, Dr. Eggs. Good evening, Board, Superintendent Luciano, and community. It is with great pleasure that we are recognizing the students from Harmony High School's gaming program who participated in the National, Oceanic, and Atmospheric Administration Nationwide Climate Change Competition. I would now like to introduce Mr. Tim Burdett, a member of our CTE department, who's a resource teacher, and Ms. Lynn Vanderzil, the gaming instructor at Harmony High School, and also recognize Principal Mr. Buddy Butler.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkston and board. A couple of years ago, like Dr. Ake said, Mrs. Luciano came to us and said, we want gaming, make it happen. So we went through and picked up the gaming program called Zulama, which many teachers like Ms. Vanderzil thought, what are you thinking? We're not going to let these kids sit here and just think for themselves and do things on their own and just sit there and create games. But now Ms. Vanderzil is also a certified trainer for Zulama. So she's drank the Kool-Aid, I guess. And folks, if you could come out and see these games programs happening in those classrooms, it's amazing. Students will, on their own, come together, collaborate, and create games. And they think on their own, they decide on their own, and matter of fact, when the program breaks, they have to fix it on their own. The teacher is just there to make sure that it's being facilitated, and it's an amazing event to watch them do that. And Mrs. Vanderzil is doing an amazing job, one of the best, been recognized twice by the company themselves nationally. But they won their division in the Game Jam, and their program and game was represented at the Smithsonian in Washington this month. And for more of that, I'll let Ms. Vanderzil introduce her teacher and herself.
Hello. I'm not used to this. I'm used to yelling. So, yeah, the Game Jam was it was a day of education for the kids. We started at 7:15 in the morning. We ended at 2:15. During that time, I had like 45 students. I took in some art students because some of them were making the games, board games, and I also tried to get some science that didn't quite work out. But they had to, in that time, they had to learn what climate change was, design a game, make a game, do a 1-minute elevator speech, and write the rules. So, and play test the game. So it was amazing. The whole day they were busy, they were working. I was just a support person. I didn't help them at all. And it was just a great day. But, and one of the students from the winning team, Connor Pageant, is here. Would you like to say?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We'd like you to sing.
Oh, please. All right. Like Ms. Vanderzil, I'm not used to using this thing, but yes, I'm the only member here who did win the Game Jam. The other members couldn't make it here tonight. Sorry to tell you all about that. But yes, the Game Jam was it was a great idea, and really brought people together to all collaborate on very massive is the word to use. Massive projects. Granted, games these days, like some of the more major ones, they take much more time, a lot more people, and the real process is quite intrusive. And although the projects that us people at the Game Jam created, although they're not what I would consider perfect, I don't believe in perfect things these days. It would be a lie for me to say that they were not good at all, because I've seen the projects from my competitors and of course my team. It was it impresses me how people, whether they know each other or not, can join together and all work on a project within not even 6 hours and still make it as massive and like AAA material as was created in those 6 to 7 hours. Thank you.
What grade are you in?
11th grade, sir.
What is your post-secondary plans? What are you thinking you're going to do when you get through with high school?
I'm sorry, repeat the question?
What do you plan on doing when you get through with high school?
Oh, okay. Yes, I plan to go to the Arts Institute. I think that's the word. They do gaming related projects there, and I plan to continue working. Well, not continue working on, but sort of expand my knowledge on creating games and hopefully learn from any mistakes I made during the game jam. Learn from those mistakes and just make games that the entire world or nation or whoever picks them up can enjoy.
I really appreciate you and Ms. Vanderstel coming in tonight. Mr. Butler, I appreciate you having the program and supporting it. And you really have represented Osceola well, and I appreciate your explanation for it.
Thank you, sir.
Great job, young man.
Just a brief comment. You guys did a great job presenting. Connor, you did a very good job, and you pointed something out very important, that the greatness within you and all the other students that participated with you, that within 6 hours, you took something you didn't know about, and you were able to, in the end of the 6 hours, come out with something that exceeded all your expectations, and you won. So that just goes to show there's greatness within you and greatness within all of our students. That's a great illustration of the story you gave. And I can speak as a parent. My son is in the gaming curriculum at Celebration High School on the other end of the county, and he's enjoying it. There's not many classes that a 16-year-old boy looks forward to. This gaming class is a class he really does. So thank you for what you do in Harmony. Connor, great job representing this. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Great job, Connor. Appreciate it. Dr. H, thanks for bringing that to us. Congratulations. It's nice when you have a couple presentations and you see a lot of what's really great and amazing in this county with our students. So thank y'all very much for bringing that to us. Ms. Luciano, no appointments first. Public comment. I have one person for public comment. Ms. Jackson, would you like to? You know the game, the deal. 3 minutes. Name, address, rank,
Michael
serial
Jackson,
number.
722 Mabet, Kissimmee, Florida. Did I say it right? Mabet. I'm sorry. I always mess it up. I know. I tell her every time. and I'm officially on staff at Osceola High School, even though you don't see me there. So go Cowboys.
Wait, when you weren't on staff, it wasn't Go Cowboys? Is that?
I was always Go Cowboys.
Right,
always.
Right.
You bleed blue and gold. But tonight I need to talk about a couple concerns that our employees have brought to me over and over throughout the year. And this is not a conversation I had planned to have, but when you visit as many schools as I do and you hear the same things over and over and over again, it needs to be brought forward. So first of all, I'm an educator. I teach. I'm required to teach bell to bell, modify disruptive behaviors, observe for possible abuse, keep students on task, make certain they know the objective of the lesson, explain the rubric being used for each lesson, and make sure it's written on my board. Then, if I'm in a special needs classroom, I'm occasionally physically abused. Both education staff, support, and teachers' #1 priority are our students. Nothing else is as important as educating or caring for the children in our care. Teachers have 3 main responsibilities. In addition to teaching: planning for their lessons each day, inputting grades and attendance into the gradebook program, which occasionally doesn't work, and then making sure that you have all the expectations ready to go for the next day. Doing just those 3 things takes almost every minute of your day. But in addition to the major requirements, we have just a few more things that are added. You have PLC meetings and mandatory cooperative planning, which you have to give written minutes to your administrators.
You have mandatory in-services, which according to the contract should be a part of a school improvement plan, but when I checked, not all of them are. It has to be approved by the school advisory committee. You have data chats to determine which students need additional remediation so that they can improve. But before you go to the data chats, you're told on Thursday at 3:30 that you have to complete a form for Tuesday morning to present to your administrator to have the data chats. All this information is available online. They can just pick it up, look at it, but it takes about an hour or two to do the forms. You're required to do lunch and learns during your lunchtime with your literacy coaches. You have IEPs, AIPs, and LEP meetings during the workday, which may or may not be scheduled with the teacher's consent. You have parent conferences, which often occur before school, after school, or during your planning, but when the school starts, at one time, the teacher's day starts 5 minutes before the parent conference, or before the students, and then their day ends 10 minutes after the students leave. Teachers are often working beyond their hours to do the conferences. And then we ask ourselves why our teachers are stressed. They have hall duty, they have bus duty, and a whole bunch of other things that they have to do that they just can't find the time during the regular week to do. So we need to find a way to make it easier on the teachers and the education support staff in our schools so that they're not as stressed as what they are. Thank you.
Brings us to our agenda modifications. Anybody have any modifications?
No, sir.
I'm good.
I have two. I'd like to add the very end of the agenda, just a quick conversation with you on having a general workshop. And item number 13 on the agenda.
Wait. 13.
The information item on the agenda. That contract was just delivered later this afternoon, so we're not quite ready to have that presentation. We're going to pull it off of this agenda if that's okay with the board.
Mr. Chairman, that's fine. The only thing
I know you want it pulled past, you're not here at the next
Right.
meeting. We will not do it there.
The first meeting in March is great.
Yes.
Thank you.
That being said, actually, and there's one other thing I'd like to do. Under unfinished business, we have the approval of our next superintendent's contract. I'd like to move that up next item on the agenda in case we have a board member needs to leave early. We'll have that done.
Playoff games. I got a playoff. Yeah, Celebration High School got a playoff game at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Booth to approve, second by Mr. Weishire. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent's agreement, the superintendent's contract as submitted under unfinished business. Move that up.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Wheeler to approve the contract with a second by Mr. Weishire. Any discussion on the contract?
Yeah, brief. I just want to thank Mr. Weishire for getting this done on behalf of the board. I appreciate that it's here now and ready to go. So, and I know you were in Tallahassee, so I know you weren't on a coffee break. And thank you so much, Tim. I just want to let you know I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. It was my pleasure to work on it. It was a pleasure to work with Dr. Pace in getting prepared for the meeting, so thank you.
Any further questions, discussion? Nope, sorry. Ruth?
I just want to say that I will again be abstaining from this vote due to the appearance of a conflict, Florida Statute 112.311.
Very good. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. Back to our regular agenda, items 7, curriculum and instruction.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion on curriculum instruction to approve letters A through E.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Weishire to approve items A through E with a second by Mr. Wheeler. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve under item 9, I think that is, or 8, under 8F, modification of the calendar as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wheeler, excuse me, to approve item 8F. Second by Mr. Weishire, is that right? Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion under Business and Finance to approve letters G through L.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Weissayer to approve items G through L with a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to Mr. Brown.
Yes, I'd like to request an executive session under the statute to occur at the usual time at the meeting on February 16th. It's to discuss Rosiak, R-O-S-I-A-K versus School Board, circuit court case number 2015-CA-000889, and Deborah Oubre, O-U-B-R-E, versus School Board, circuit case number 2014-001315, and that Oubre is O-U-B-R-E for spelling. And can I have that set, please?
You just need a consensus for that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Go board.
Yep. Sir. Perfect with me. Thank you. We'll get with
That's
Ms.
right.
Ravel and have that noticed
Okay.
as per usual. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Luciana, do you have anything else? And I had the one item that I wanted to add to the agenda, and I just wanted to raise this question with the board. At the Florida School Board meeting that I think we all attended some of it in December, I think it was Mr. Booth and I were in one session, and they talked about the ability to have some pre-scheduled general workshops to where the board, without necessarily having a set agenda, which gives the board 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you like, to just have some open general discussions on things on your mind and that sort of thing. I think I would find that worthwhile if we set those up, kind of recurring, I don't know, every
Once a month.
2-3 meetings or once a month.
Once a quarter.
Okay, Ricky.
Somewhere in the middle.
Sure, no, I think that, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, we have a board that's pretty engaged on discussing stuff that might be useful with the transition. I don't know what you guys.
I'm very open to the idea, and I would think once every couple of months or once a quarter would probably suffice, because we'd have additional workshops in between as well. So I think once a month would be too much, so I'll yield to the board on figuring the details out.
And I'll go ahead and, if it's okay with you, I'll find a date in the upcoming meetings and just plan for maybe 30 minutes, and maybe if we have a workshop, pack it on the first 30 minutes or the second 30 minutes.
Great. Good idea.
That's very good.
Yep. Okay. I will get that done. Okay.
I concur, but let me go and say something further. Is that I don't know why once a month is too frequent. I actually think that if you're going to make it short and just at a time that's convenient, maybe during it, because it could be any, pretty much any time. So if we figure out what is the most likely time that we're available, and then we can set it up. It's not going to be mandatory. I mean, we're going to do our best to show up and hear what the other board members want to talk about, and what kind of issues, maybe do some forecasting. I totally agree with what you're trying to do here, Clarence. I think it's a great idea. I know that in Jasmine said once a quarter. I think that this is a little bit more valuable than that. And once a month is probably about okay, And again, maybe the board member can't make it, but that is available there in the sunshine for 82 people to show up and say, hey, look, you know what, this is a topic I want to talk about. Or look, I'm really happy about how this program is going. Let me share with you some of my observations that you were not privy to. And that sort of information flow in a workshop setting is very, very, very useful. I mean, not very, very, just very useful. And very, very.
I think it could be very, very useful.
No, just very extremely useful. No, just very, because there is really not a lot of other ways to get this done, and unless we do whole business and use the time that we have here, we really want to get right. Yeah, I see some shaking around here. Yeah, people on the team. So that's my current.
We'll get one set and see how they go. That being said, one more.
What are we for?
Y'all haven't used your lights in so long, I forgot. Go ahead, Mr. Booth.
Am I recognized, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I actually don't think until we begin to have them that we can decide on the frequency of them. Is there any idea at all when they would be held? It wouldn't be on the day of a board meeting. That'd just be on another day. If you do it before the board meeting, I'm fine with once a month. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be at a different time,
I thought it was thinking before a board meeting.
then yeah, anytime.
I was absolutely thinking that.
Yeah, and I'm good as
Mr.
well.
Weisar?
Yeah, I'm good as well. And Mr. Soda, since I like you so much, I'll just go along with what you wanted on that one.
He likes you very, very much.
Very, very much.
For the record, Jay does not like you to go along just to get along.
No, it's you I don't like to go on and get
Well,
along.
I like you very, very much.
All right, well, thank you.
Melba?
So nice to serve.
Not relevant to this topic.
Okay.
Just want to remind the board that we do have on the 16th a workshop, and that one is focused on the Boggy Creek High School. And I am asking the board for an additional workshop on March 1st, 4 p.m. to discuss the celebration expansion.
That's fine with. Okay, board?
When is the workshop on the 16th at 4 o'clock?
4, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very good.
Celebration expansion? Because the only reason I'm questioning that is, when's the new CFO? I'd really like to have the new CFO in place for a little while before we talk about that. Let them have a chance to dig into it, which is not in any way to discourage something like this, but the next CFO, I think, really needs the opportunity to look at the various options on the table and see what is real and what isn't and what we can and can't do, which is not to knock anything we have, but I've had staff tell me that we don't have enough land for a school, we don't have enough money for a school, and then the last week I've had somebody say, well, we got enough money for a school, and it's like 1 month we don't, 1 month we do. I'd like to have our CFO take a look at that and peel that onion back, seeing as how we're in that process. I don't know what the rush is, other than the fact that Disney would like a decision quickly, but I don't think we need to be on their calendar.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Weisar?
Superintendent, the intent for the discussion for the workshop, just so I have some clarity before I express an opinion one way or the other.
Tom has been at all of the task force meetings, so Tom, would you please share with staff?
Certainly. If you recall, probably about 2 months ago or so, we had a proposal to expand the current Celebration School on the existing facility or the existing campus to include a new middle school. At the discretion of the board, we were asked to begin dialogue with the residents of Celebration as well as the Celebration Company to see if there were alternatives. And we've had quite a few meetings to discuss the options. Within the meetings, we came up with 9 different options, which we obviously worked through, and we've come down to an alternative, which would be a middle school on the facility or on the property in the Island Villages. Staff feels like that's a very viable option. It was actually one that we had considered even earlier when we were, and it will be an elementary school, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, K-5, I'm sorry. It will be a K-5 school in the Island Villages on the 10 acres. Preliminary discussions with everyone seems to be that everyone likes that option. We've scheduled some time with you, I think later on in the week individually to review those options. But what we're hoping for is in March is to come together, one, to discuss that option with you publicly and with the Celebration Task Force present to hopefully begin to move forward with that option. And then also to discuss the agreement, which I guess back when we originally had one of our task force meetings was to bring that as quickly as possible so the community could see that that was being renewed. And we're in the process of just revising it because there's a lot of information in there that is no longer necessary. And unfortunately it's taken a little longer because of the amount of information that needs to be removed. So that happened and we've got that today. So we want some time to review it and get that to the Celebration Company. And then we feel by March the 1st, we'll be prepared to have all those discussions.
Mr. Wheeler?
And I think it's a great option if we get the money. 2 months ago, we were talking about the same piece of land. We were talking about $12.5 million in impact fees. We didn't have the money. Now, all of a sudden, 60 days later, we've got the money we need to build an elementary school we didn't have 60 days ago. And I just, again, I can't help it. And I like the option. I've got no aversion to it. I'm not saying, I think it sounds like a good plan. but 60 days ago, we didn't have the money. We don't have a CFO in place now. And now all of a sudden we do have the money, and we're in the process of hiring a CFO. I'd like that person to take a look at it and take some ownership and say, yeah, we can't afford it or we can't, before we go down this path. I've got, again, the plan I've got no aversion to, but all of a sudden we got an extra $5, $6, $7 million we didn't have 60 days ago, and I don't know how that works.
And it was never that type of money that we were looking for. We've always had a substantial amount of money to handle this particular project. Within a couple of $1 million, and we were able to find that couple of $1 million within the budget. We have been working closely with our director of finance, who handles those financial numbers, and feels very confident that we can handle the expense for building this school.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Weiser?
So my understanding, though, anyway, Jay, to your point, is that we wouldn't be making, first of all, it's a workshop, so we're not making a decision. Second of all, you're laying out the options, the financial components that we need to deal with. The CFO would be something that we can delve into a little bit later. Am I correct?
That is correct. I think what we would be looking for from the workshop is to move forward, one, with the agreement, which we would be asking.
Kind of two issues.
Right, the agreement's fine.
And we would be placing that on the actual agenda as well, so that we can approve that and move forward after we had the discussion at the workshop. The second component would be, again, to discuss the proposals that we've had out there. If we wanted to go through all 9 of them, we could. But I think what we're going to find from the task force, or at least hopefully from the task force on Monday when we meet, is that we're going to come down to we're in support of the K-5 option in the island villages, and that's what we're going to hopefully present to you folks on the 1st. And at that point, really all we would be hoping for is that we have a head nod to move forward with plans, and then we obviously bring back more information for you as we get more into the planning phase of the K-5.
Okay, and I'm going to have a series of follow-ups. With regard to timeline, are you thinking that time is of the essence because you're looking from an operational standpoint of getting the school open? If we waited, to Mr. Wheeler's point, does that impact us in any way? What is your thought?
If we were to have our discussion on the 1st, and Clyde helped me with this one as far as timeline, but if it took another couple of weeks for us to really get a head nod to move forward with it, a couple of weeks is not going to make that huge a difference for us. We're looking at this point for a potential opening, assuming that the Celebration Company can get all the infrastructure and the developer can get all the infrastructure in, would be an August 2019 opening. But obviously we got to back that out, and we have had very little plans for the actual site. We've got a couple conceptual things, but we need to have, the more time we have, the better we can prepare for the development of the school.
Okay. Mr. Wheeler, for you, the idea of getting together for a workshop and discussing this sooner than later, I'm favorable to, partly because it's one of the things that we had talked to the community about, is that we weren't going to kick it down the road. We were going to work through this. They were going to have their community meetings. I know you've been to all or most of those. So the fact that we put it off, I'm a little adverse to, but I do agree with you that from a financial standpoint, I'm not looking to spend any money right now. I'm looking to see what the plans are. So I guess from where I sit, I'm asking you, because I'll respect your opinion on this one, is there any reason why we couldn't have that workshop sooner than later, so the community kind of gets a feel from where the staff is at, what the board is thinking, and then it still gives the board additional time as our new superintendent works through filling that CFO position for us to circle back around and deal with the financial components associated with this?
I mean, it's all contingent upon the financial component. I mean, we got $12.5 million in impact fees. A couple months ago, that wasn't enough money to build a school. I don't know where this new money all of a sudden is appearing from that we didn't have 2 months ago. And so, I mean, if we can make it work, I'm all for it. I've got no problem with it. I just want to make sure we can make it work.
Sure.
And so that's why, I think that, and this isn't a criticism on anybody. I think that we've got an opening for a critical position, somebody who is supposed to let us know exactly, what our financial state is right now. And I think that in fairness, just so we know that this can be done, I don't mind looking at a workshop, but I don't want to do something premature and say, yeah, we're on board with something, and then find out we actually can't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not looking to take any action on it. I'm looking
I'll look
to
at
get an update from the staff on what's been going on, as well as giving the community opportunity for us to have some dialogue, and them hear us have dialogue surrounding it. But so you know, I'm not looking to make any decision,
Okay.
and I would agree with you that the board postponing a decision on anything like this until our CFO is in place is a
That's
prudent
against the look
decision.
at it.
Yeah, and I could support you 100% on that.
And in fairness, I'll tell you, if we can do a K-5 in this location, our own school, that is a great option, but, you know, we just couldn't pull it off up until recently. And it's just, I can't help but be a little suspect relative to all of a sudden, something we couldn't do, now we can. I'm open to, I mean, I want to see what we can do there, sure. I'm fine with the workshop. March 1st?
Yeah, and I would say the same, just to conclude my thought then, is I would want to move forward with the workshop so that we can kind of get an understanding from staff where it is and give the board an opportunity to begin to talk through this process a little bit further. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock would be best, yes.
No, I think this is a healthy discussion. Yeah, both, and I want to have the workshop, I would agree with that, but like I said, I'd like to see what the CFO says. But I wanted to take time to thank Mr. Phelps and Mrs. Blake, and I know Clyde's been as well. Anybody else? Tom?
You can thank me.
Not thanking Tim, but or Jay. But and I know I had an opportunity to go out to those meetings as well. But I really wanted to thank you guys for going out there, engaging with those folks, and being a part of that task force. I think they really appreciated it, and so thank you.
All right, very quickly, let me recap, because I may make sure I'm not confused. We're gonna have the workshop, we'll talk about the agreement, we'll talk about the plan, and on the regular agenda would be a vote on the agreement. Okay.
If that's direction from the board.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
The agreement, I'd give it a cursory overview. It looks good for us, actually.
Ms. Beach, thank you for coming. Thank your class for coming. You tell them tomorrow how lucky they are to be at a meeting that only went 57 minutes. And I know she didn't want to do this, but Dr. Pace is in the room, and we're all very excited to be working with you. So sorry I couldn't let it go. I let it get quiet. So, with that, board, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we will stand adjourned.
You all.
That was quick.